Good afternoon. This is Jerome Thompson. I'm so proud to be with you and to host today's webinar. This is the third season of Membership Mondays in May. In past seasons, we focused on new clubs. We've focused on bringing new members into our existing clubs. And today we will be talking about embracing members so that they will be with us to serve tomorrow. Retention is such an vital topic now as we begin to move through and emerge from this COVID crisis. We're excited that you have taken the time to join us today, and we look forward to spending the next few minutes with a panel of experts that are going to share with us their thoughts concerning how to retain members. Now, before we get started, there's just a few housekeeping matters to cover. One of those is everyone is muted, and this is being recorded. And that recording will go out to everyone who is registered for the webinar, and it'll be posted on our Facebook groups and on YouTube, and it'll be posted on the lionsclubs.org virtual learning center page. And we want you to share it with your club, share it with your district, share it with those who are interested in retaining new members. Now, as we go through today, and we have 5 panelists who are sharing thoughts, there are going to be some questions. And if you'll type those into that question box, then those will be answered, some by staff, and some will be read aloud at the end of our presentation and answered by our esteemed panelists today. Also, some of you may be motivated to raise your hand and share with us your thoughts in person. And if you'll do that toward the end of the seminar, we'll try to take and recognize those who have comments and questions and respond and interact. Because at the end of the day, working together, the Lions of North America and the Lions of the world are going to make a difference. We're going to put smiles on the faces of so many people because of what we're going to discuss here today. Now, let me tell you that this webinar is put on by the Global Action Team of CA1 and CA2, and we have guests from around the world, and we welcome you. But we'll also let you know that all the ideas that are shared here may not be applicable in your geographic region. So adapt them, use them, and delight your community by serving in new ways and retaining our members so that we can continue to serve. Let me tell you that today we're excited to have with us 5 panelists. Past Council Chair Jody Brewmeister from Madison, Wisconsin. Past District Governor Charles Short from Lafayette, Indiana. Lion Daniel Marnie Elkins, Wilmington, Delaware. I can't even read Daniel, forgive me. Lion Richard Stevenson from Tucson, Arizona. And then from across the pond, Sergeant at Arms Stu Young from Coventry, England, will share with us some of the exciting things that are going on in the UK as we learn to serve in new and creative ways. Leading off today, Past Council Chair Jody Burmester. She's going to talk with us about embracing them online, how that we're going to bring our members in so that we can love on them, they can be engaged, and we can continue to have them as part of our rank and file serving day to day. Welcome, Lion Jody. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon, PID Jerome. I am doing fantastic. So excited to talk to you and the Lions of CA1 and CA2 and all the Lions of the world that are on today. You know, keeping in touch with our members is so important right now. Our Lions clubs are designed to meet our members' needs and our community's needs, both of which have been upended by this global pandemic. So we really have to find unique ways to adapt to this new reality. And that really includes moving what has been for most of us face-to-face meetings, planning, implementing from a face-to-face world to a virtual world. So we're going to spend the next couple of minutes talking about virtual Lions entertainment and how it's really a gateway to online member participation. And we're going to start the conversation really wrapped around what my husband and I thought was a simple online cocktail party with a number of Lions friends to what's really blossomed into a huge learning opportunity for us and everyone who's been involved. And what it really starts with is that Lions are social beings. And with the cancellations of so many projects, fundraisers, conventions, and meetings, Lions are really looking for ways to socialize now more than ever. Things that they might have been afraid to try just a few short weeks ago, they're desperate for this communication and socialization, and may be willing to try something new for a social event that they never would have tried before if it was just a Lions meeting. So what we're seeing is, and what we learned from the Lions cocktail party that my husband Dale and I have been hosting, is this: if you party, they will come, I guess is one way to look at it. Or if you bingo, they will come. Or if you coffee clutch, they will come. Finding ways to keep that communication or start that communication conversation online then allows people to realize this virtual world isn't so scary. And that's easy for them to move into looking at how they might be able to meet and serve online during the pandemic right now and in the long months we have ahead of us. Some of the things that I've seen happening across the US and Canada and even across the globe is everything from the happy hours to coffee with Lions to a general check-in to see how the Lions are doing, whether it be in your club or across a whole district or even in some cases multiple districts. Another piece and another thing that many haven't even thought of is taking some of these Lions presentations that we're seeing on the new Lions, and I want to get the right name here, the new Lions Virtual Event Center that's on Lions Clubs International's website. Have your members listen to one of those. Something like Your Club, Your Way that was presented just last week or the week before. And then bring it locally and have a local quote unquote town hall conversation with your local clubs and members about how you might implement some of the great ideas that are being presented through the sessions on the Lions Virtual Event Center or other areas. Really, these online meetings and parties and socialization are only limited by your local imagination. One of the things, though, I will tell you is it does take some planning. And I'm going to give you a few keys to some success you might want to take into account. Number one, once you've logged into any of these, anyone can set up a call and start the conversation. You don't have to be a computer expert. You don't have to be a Zoom expert, a WebEx expert, a GoToMeeting expert, WhatsApp, or whatever the application is you're using. You just have to be willing to try and be the catalyst to start it. One of the really cool things is there's so many free tools out there right now that are easy to use and provide us with the opportunity to do these meetings and these parties and these social events. One of the things I would strongly recommend, and I'm going to go talk a second here about the Lions Virtual Event Center again on lionsclubs.org, is if Zoom is your product of choice, your platform of choice, LCI put on a really nice 30-minute presentation on basics of how to set up a Zoom meeting and how to use and navigate through a Zoom meeting. If you're interested in doing one of these events, simply go watch that presentation. And then if you need help, all of us that are panelists here today are there to help you. We're all members and moderators on the Global Lions Forum page on Facebook, or you can message any one of us individually, and we will help walk you through how to set up a meeting and how to run a meeting to help set you up for success in starting this party planning or however you'd like to use these. Once you get people on the call, I skipped a section. For those of our members who are interested but are tentative about getting involved, really, it's no problem to set up some time for you to talk to them and help them walk them through it on a one-on-one learning call. And once you're on the call, it's all about patience. We're all learning together. Also strongly recommend that you make sure that everyone that's on the call has an opportunity to be heard or to participate. And last but not least, make the parties fun. Come up with a theme, some online party games, whatever it is. Again, it's only limited by your imagination. I don't have much time left, so I'm going to have you switch slides here for me, if you will, PID Jerome, because I want to talk quickly about a new opportunity for us to tie in and work together and really socialize as Lions. Last week, we created a new page called Lions Virtual Universe. You'll see on the slide that it is a Facebook page, and it's really a page that houses Lions Entertaining Lions. What it is a whole series of events hosted by Lions for social events. We've got everything from the cocktail party to a trivia night with Jamie Jones, to wine tasting Fridays with Andrea, to bingo with Paul Fugate. And starting tonight, we have a Lions karaoke with District Governor-elect Krisha. We're looking at weekly poker parties, all kinds of ideas coming out of Lions. And you can go and like this page. And once you like the page, you'll get notified of all the upcoming events that we have posted. We're also actively seeking to add more events to the page. We've heard of people looking at starting Zumba events through this page, other happy hours, whether it's a one-time event or a weekly event. If you'd like to have your event hosted or promoted through the new Lions Virtual Universe, please send an email to the address you see there, which is lionsvirtualuniverse@gmail.com. Right now, the bottom line is we all need this virtual human contact. So it's time that we really embrace the fun and games of virtual entertainment, then take it to the next level so that we can keep our members and clubs active in meeting their needs and their community needs during this time of unrest. So PID Jerome, that's what I have for you for today. Thank you again for the opportunity, and stay safe, everyone.
Lion Jody, thank you so very much. And thank you for what you're doing with your virtual cocktail parties. It reminds me of the way that Apple began to get us to use the iPhone to its fullest potential, and that is they put games on it, so we'd have to figure out where all the buttons was and how to use it. So what I heard you say is, let's make it fun, let's make it almost like a game, and get our Lions online smiling and engaged, and then they'll move it to the more serious business. That brings us to our next speaker, past District Governor Charles Short from Lafayette, Indiana. Can you share with us how to keep this party going?
I'd be delighted, PID Jerome. Thank you for having me. Hi, folks. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for taking the time out of your day to let me share a few thoughts with you. I'm a 30-year Lion from the first club in Indiana, and while we were founded in 1920, our club's seen a lot, but we haven't seen anything like the current unpleasantness. All of these changes, though, bring with them some real opportunities. So let's take advantage of this pause to help keep the herd happy and pointed in the right direction. Bite 'em.
Done.
There you go. You know, I call this the why slide. There's basically 5 things you need to do to keep a herd of lions or pride of lions happy. But Americans and Canadians too are very consistent in the fact that you got to tell them why. And sometimes we need to just stop and reacquaint ourselves with why we're doing it in the first place. So let's be clear about it. If being a lion doesn't make you happier, more connected, and more satisfied in your life, you might be doing it wrong. Appreciation is every lion and every lion's club's emotional paycheck. So while many of us say we do this for the cause and not for the applause, the truth is we can all use a little appreciation. If we can go ahead and work on this step here, the why slide makes a little bit more sense because now we feel a little bit better about moving on through it. Appreciated lions stay engaged. So what I try to do is every day I have a 10:30 coffee break, and I go ahead and call someone, send a note, do a quick text, whatever works, and tell them about how we appreciate them being in the club or being on a project or working with us on something. They'll appreciate you doing it, and in the overall conversation, you just might learn something about their situation and what they're thinking. And this is especially important if you think your lion is considering leaving the pride, because the truth is if you think they're at risk, they probably are. Find out what lights their fire. All right, we're already on step 3, recognition and awards. You know, with our meetings and conventions off the table this year, our normal kind of timing and way of recognition has been suspended. But what a tremendous opportunity to recast our recognition of some of our winners, include more of our heroes, and have some great fun in the process. Don't wait to recognize your club, district, and multiple district Lions doing a great job. Hold a community leadership awards effort to recognize the great work of other people and put our brand right up there with their work as well. People might rightfully shrink from praise, but they appreciate their efforts being acknowledged by other parties, especially when it's a seriously well-recognized brand like Lions. Go ahead. Now here's the neat part. Stay home doesn't mean stop recruiting or prospecting. Now, we're going to need every Lion we can possibly get to help our communities recover from all this. But look at the bright side. Everybody's dying to pitch in. Community engagement is at an all-time high. People are doing cool things and they're on the news every night doing them. These are our natural prospects. Put your membership applications online and invite people to apply. Make it clear that you're looking for new people to grow your capacity and be a better club. So make new friends while we keep the old and keep your doors open. All right, let's face it, folks, execution is king. All the other 4 steps are hot air without actually following through. The motto is we serve, so let's back it up. Now, let me tell you about this picture here a little bit. This picture was taken during a winter emergency response when an entire rural county in Indiana lost their electric grid due to an ice storm. It pulled down the high tension lines and everybody was out of power. But thanks to effective teamwork at the club, zone, and district level, our Lions delivered over 300 emergency heaters to help keep rural homes from freezing in the sub-zero cold. And when there weren't enough trucks, Lions made it happen with their personal vehicles and went to the homes that needed us. We received local media coverage on this and thank you notes by the gob from people that were happy and grateful to be able to stay warm without having to go to a shelter. The point I'm trying to make, I guess, is on this last piece is that whatever one of these 5 points you're doing, do it. Do it right and do it well. Thanks so much for taking the time to be here today. Let's keep working for a better tomorrow through Lions.
Lion Charles, I just love your ideas about keeping the party going, and most importantly, how that we can use our social media platforms to keep the party going, to keep our name out there, to promote our service, and to let Lions know that we care. And that brings us to our next presenter, and that is Lion Daniel Marnie Elkins. Lion Daniel, share with us, if you will, how that we can care about the Lions and let them know that we really need them.
Absolutely. Thank you, PID Jerome, for this opportunity. And hello, Lions. It's important to understand that Lions are also being affected by this COVID-19, and we need to think about how we can serve them in this time. Next slide, please. Our old habits may not be enough for the new normal. The way we have always done things may not be what we need to do in order to get to the future in which everybody is being engaged. If your traditional way of communicating with your club is to send out emails to people, then perhaps you need to step it up and add an extra layer. How are you going to contact each of the people in your club? Because we need to be able to identify the needs of our members. During this time, how many of them will be out of work? How many of them will have had family members who have suffered from COVID-19? I know myself, we've got a club of over 100 members, and I have 27 members who are currently unemployed because of the shutdown. So what needs do they have? Oftentimes we are focusing on the community, but we need to realize that our club is a community and that we need to find the ways in order to reach out to them. Next slide, please. How do we keep them engaged during this time? We have to let our Lions know that they matter. When's the last time you just called a member of your club just to check in on them? Not to ask them if they're going to help out with the project, not to ask them for a donation or their dues, but just to see who they are. I strongly recommend that every club consider putting in a retention chair or retention chairs whose sole job it is during this time to do like PDG Charles suggested, to call someone every day just to let them know that they are appreciated and see what their needs might be. And in doing so, we need to begin to serve our members and find out what their specific needs are. Now, during this time, it is prime opportunity to be able to encourage learning and development. There are so many amazing resources that are offered, whether or not it's through the Lions Learning Center, Lions University, all of these online webinars that are being developed on a regular basis. Use this time to encourage your Lions to start to learn more, and then perhaps you will begin developing them as a future leader within your club and your district while doing so. Keep them engaged with knowledge and learning and picking up new skills. Next slide, please. As we do this, perhaps we can find new ways to motivate people. And in doing so, we need to be open to new types of service. The traditional ways may not always work. So this is a perfect time to do a survey and call every single member of your club and ask them for their input. Ask them if they have ideas of the way that your club could be serving during this time. Ask them for things that they might be passionate or needs in their community that you might know that they don't know. It is important to understand that during this time, if they feel like their voice is heard and their voice matters, they will feel like they matter. And in doing so, you will be letting them know that they are still needed as lions. The world needs lions now more than ever. And even though we might be on quarantine and lockdown, we need to find ways in order to create engaged members. And this right here is a slide about member engagement, the value and their connection to the organization. So take a moment to just take a look at the differences between a passive member, an active member, and then someone who feels like they're a partner. So a passive member just feels like they belong. An engaged member is someone who's beginning to learn more about what to do. So that's those learning things that I was talking about. An active member begins to apply what they have learned and seek solutions to future things. But when you get to a partner level, when you have engaged people where they feel like not only are they a member, an active member, but they feel like a partner in the process, that is when you will have a lion for life who will never leave the pride. Next slide, please. All of what we've been talking about today boils into several concepts. Attention plus engagement plus entertainment equals retention. So pay attention to their needs, discover what they have going on in their lives, let them feel like their voice has meaning, and then in doing so, you will be engaging them, provide them opportunities to learn and develop. And as Jody had started off with, we need to be entertaining. If we're not having fun, if they're not having fun, we're doing it wrong. So this is how we retain our lions. Thank you for this opportunity to talk about these concepts with you today.
Lion Daniel, you've done a beautiful job, and it's sort of like parenting, isn't it? We pay attention to our children, our grandchildren. We engage them in conversation and things that attract their attention, and we make sure that there's some fun and fellowship. So we're building those memories that will last a lifetime for them, and that's how that we keep them engaged in our lives, and how we'll keep lions engaged. And as we move forward, then Lion Richard Stevenson is going to speak to us about 100% retention. Actually, it might be 110% retention if it's done correctly. Lion Richard, thank you for joining today's webinar, and it's all yours.
Thank you, PID Jerome. It's always a pleasure to meet with these lions. They're all mentors of mine, and it's a great opportunity for me to learn. And as we speak about these kinds of things, I just have this to say: if I can do these things, I know that every lion can. And it's being around people like this that give me the opportunity to learn how to do things. So greetings from sunny Arizona. I'm the president of the South Tucson Cyber Lions branch, and we are a special interest branch with 33 members. And no, that's not a typo, and we'll get to that in just a minute. We do vision screening in schools. That's what we do. We do it well, and we do a lot of it. But there's no schools right now because of COVID-19. So we've lost our specialization. And the state is also talking about changing the rules, so we might end up having to change the way we do things. But for now, the question is, how do we keep members when we're not meeting and we're not serving? And the first item, and I think it's been covered, but it needs to be said over again, is to tell our Lions that we appreciate you, to keep us all connected, and that we care about you. We have to build on our strengths. Our members are mostly school personnel, school nurses, or school administrators, or people who enjoy being around schools. So what project we're going to come up with should be built on that particular strength. And as we do a community and club assessment, many of the members are members of the community, they're clients as well as members, so we can really look at what our members want to do and what our clients want to do. What are their passions, and how do we fulfill those passions? Another thing we want to do is make sure we retain our partners and our donors and our clients. We are a team and we serve together, and we have to serve the needs of all those groups. We never stop serving. We have to keep serving and fundraising and recruiting online. And we have, as Charlie mentioned, we have the application for people to apply to become members and pay their initial dues online. We also have a fundraising link online, and we're fundraising now, as well as looking for new partners. This is a perfect time to look for new partners because we're all in the same boat. And as we look for partners, we've just found 4 this week, and we sent off 4 checks to kind of cement our relationship to these groups and say, we'd like to work together with you. So what are our tactics going to be? First thing we're going to do is waive the dues. As Daniel Marnie Elkins mentioned, we have members who've lost their jobs. We have members who have their kids staying at home so they can't go to work, so they can't be paid. And we don't really want to get into the details of all that. We know they might have some financial problems, but the last thing in the world we want to be doing now is chasing people for money in this difficult time. So we've just decided to use some of our admin funds to pay for the dues and invest in our membership. So at least for the next 6 months, we're going to have 110% retention. Excuse me, 100% retention. The next thing is proactive communications. And as Jody said, we want to go through and review our club roster name by name and figure out what each person's status is. As Charlie said, if you think they're at risk, they might very well be. We want to make sure that we reach out to every Lion and fulfill their passions and alleviate their distractions if we can. Complete transparency. We do not, at this point, want to be letting our Lions think that we're making decisions behind closed doors, that in fact, every Lion is welcome to participate. We'd like to find out what their passions are, and we'd like them to step up and maybe even be the champion of that new project that fulfills their desire and their passion. We need to communicate, of course. Recognition and awards is an extremely important one. We also are trying to be very visible on our Facebook page. We know that some Lions will leave us. It happens. There's nothing we can do to prevent someone leaving at some point. But when people leave, we say to them, thank you very much for being a Lion. Thank you for serving with us. And we hope if things change, you can come back to us. And we make sure that we drop them so that before they're in arrears, so we don't have a financial situation between us and our Lion who's left us. And we drop them in good standing on my Lion, my LCI. And in fact, as I was calling around to our Lions today and our ex-Lions, one of whom happens to be a client, and I spoke to her and I said, you know, you can come back. She was dropped in December. And I said, you know, we'd like to have you back. And she's now coming back. So my 100% retention has just gone up to over 100% retention because we got a Lion back. And as Daniel Marnie Elkin says, one of my great mentors, if you're not having fun, you ain't doing it right. And so we always need to make sure that we're having fun and fulfilling the needs and desires of all of our members and our clients and our donors and our partners. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak to you today.
Lion Richard, you've done a great job and you've triggered some thoughts. And here locally in Moulton, Alabama, about a year ago, we had a tremendous fire on the square. And in a small town of 3,500, the square and the business around the square is so important to our economy. And we lost a restaurant and we lost 3 adjacent buildings. And so in the middle of the block, there's about 160 foot that has had this wooden retaining wall for almost a year. And as we begin to talk about how are we going to refocus, we can't do vision screening that we do. The diabetic camp that we always send children to has been moved to a virtual camp. And it seemed like every time that we tried to find a service project, there was a reason why we couldn't. And we decided that we would take and paint that wall and murals and take that drab gray and make it something attractive in the downtown area. And I want to tell you that as soon as we started painting it, the local newspaper come out. They started taking pictures. They did an article. We made front page of our weekly newspaper. And then we started the murals. One mural being a gate, because we're the gateway to adventure. From Moulton, Alabama, you can go to the north and fish in the Tennessee River, or south and hike in the National Forest. You can go out to the west for our agriculture lands, or you can go out to the east to our museums, the Indian Mound Museum and the Jesse Owens Museum. And so it's a gateway to adventure. So we put a gate there. And then we took one of the Lions emblems that are about 2 foot that's designed to redo the street signs, the metal ones, and we put it right there. And we've started making banners, and that's interactive where people will have be able to make their pictures. And so now 2 weeks in a row, we've made the front page of the paper, and we have people that are stopping by and talking about the Lions. And I believe that we've picked up 2 or 3 new members simply by doing something other than talking about the things that we could not do. It's amazing what we can accomplish. And today is a day to share ideas. And we've invited one of our special friends, Sergeant at Arms Stu Young from Coventry, England, to share with us some of the things that are going on in England and some of the creative ways that they're serving. Lions, Stu, are you still with us?
Good afternoon. Yes, I certainly am. Greetings from across the
Awesome.
pond. We have been in lockdown in the United Kingdom for about 6 weeks now. And in those 6 weeks, we've had a large emotional cycle of change for Lionism. We have hit that brick wall of what do we do now, to getting our heads down and making a massive difference to our communities. First slide, please. On the green slide, with the lion in the middle, you will see our message in a bottle. This is something that MD 105, the British Isles, do to help paramedics and emergency medical technicians with people who collapse at home. We have a campaign that's been going for about 12 years in the United Kingdom. So we decided that we needed to have a bit of a fun activity for our members to engage with them. So the lion you can see is the starting sequence of a virtual viral video which showed the message in a bottle being passed around the whole of a district virtually. In the middle, you see in the yellow boxes things that our Lions are doing that aren't in self-isolation at the moment. Many of our members are older members and aren't able to go out at the moment due to the government advice. Those of us that aren't in that age bracket are out doing shopping. A couple of clubs in the Coventry area have been doing shopping and have put a bouquet of flowers into every shopping basket that they complete to make the members of the public feel happy and valued when we're doing their shopping. In the third slide, which is the red hope, you can see how members have been creating gift packs. Packs for people who've lost everything, people who are homeless at the moment, people who are using crisis centres. And it ranges from everything from toothpaste and toothbrush to clean underwear, kids' toys, and more importantly, some chocolate biscuits. Next slide, please. In the middle, you'll see one of our club presidents and zone chairman collecting linen. We have been supporting the National Health Service and the hospitals across the United Kingdom create scrub bags for our nurses and doctors to put their uniforms into when they're at work, so they can be washed quite quickly and quite easily after their shifts. We have been doing online fundraising for the blue square to the left. This is a online campaign to raise funds for our ITU units to help us provide toiletries for those that have been omitted from home. And of course, there are our food banks. These have seen a 400% increase in use in the last 6 weeks. And many Lions clubs across the UK have been contributing both money and time helping at food banks. Next slide, please. On the left-hand side, you will see a fun time bulletin. The club I'm part of, Coventry Leofric, have produced a daily bulletin for the last 6 weeks. It gives them some updates on what's going on, information about the club, some puzzles and some fun. That is emailed to every member of the club every day, and articles inside come from members of the club. It's also shared on our social media pages, and currently we have 300 people a day opening it and taking part in the quizzes. On the right-hand side, you will see one of our members dressed up as a lion reading a story. This is to support Sandwell Lions, who've had a virtual bedtime story almost every day of the lockdown, and these can be found on the Sandwell Lions Facebook page. Finally, in the middle, you'll see Council Chairman, Lion Stuart Sherman Khan, who is the chairman of MD 105, Council of Governors. He has had a weekly broadcast on Facebook updating the MD about the things that are going on. And this week, he held a convention special where we held a moment's silence to remember those who have passed to higher service. We celebrated the incoming district governors, and we presented some thank you certificates and some international presidents awards. It's a really exciting time for Lions. It's scary because of what we're going through with COVID-19. But if we embrace the service opportunities, we really can be serving for the next 100 years. Thank you.
Lion Stu, you've done a beautiful job of bringing ideas to me, and I'll tell you which one just grabbed me, and that is bedtime stories. What could we do if everyone in the club recorded a bedtime story, put it on your Facebook, or shared it in some way with the community? Wouldn't that be great to get our name out there? Lion Stu, thank you for triggering our thoughts today. And that brings us to the most interactive portion of this webinar, and that is our question and answers. And all 5 of the panelists have agreed to stay on and answer questions for you. It looks like we have a few minutes for questions, and I will throw it back to Lion Richard, Christy, and Karina in Oak Brook and surrounding areas as they're working from home to help us with questions or identify those who have their hands raised that would like to interact and ask us some questions. Lion Richard?
Hi, PID Thompson. So we did have a question from Lion William Brown. This is directed to PCC Jody in regards to virtual meetings. Are you talking about inviting the public to attend a virtual club meeting at that level, or more on a district level?
So we actually haven't I don't know that any of us have actually explored the idea of inviting the public to join us at a virtual meeting. And there's really no reason not to. What a great opportunity to show your community what it is you're doing during your club's virtual meeting, or even better yet, to get them exposed your club virtual party of whatever sort it is.
Lion Jody, do you mind if I add on to that comment there? And let me tell you that one of our clubs was planning their membership growth event here in North Alabama when the governor shut us down. And they were scrambling. They had already invited over 100 people to come to the club meeting to find out about their club. And they didn't know what they would do. And someone said, why don't we move it to GoToMeeting? And so they moved their membership growth event to the GoToMeeting. They sent out notices to the 100 they invited and said, join us online because we're all sheltering at home. They talked about their club. They talked about their projects. They had a guest speaker from Alabama Lions site. And at the end of the evening, they had 11 membership applications in hand. And so reaching out to the public and inviting them to virtual cocktail parties and social events and club meetings is another way for us to take and turn lemons into lemonade.
PID Jerome, I would just add that's fantastic. And I think that's what I was trying to get at when we're talking about these events are only limited by your imagination. And the fact that we can expand our imagination beyond our local clubs and just our clubs to our community is just all the better yet.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. Thank you for the question. Richard, is there another question or a hand raised?
Lion, PID Jerome, we do have Lion Carl Spellman who has a question. Lion Carl, I've unmuted you if you want to go ahead.
Lion Carl, how are you doing today, and welcome?
Oh, I'm doing fine, and can you hear me okay?
We can hear you perfect, and we're ready for your question. Can you stump the panel here today?
There's no way I can stump this panel, I'm sure. I'm with the Mount Joy, Pennsylvania Lions Club, just to identify myself, and we just set up our Lions webpage using the tool provided by LCI. And I'm just wondering if you have any suggestions on how to increase our exposure in the community. I know I'm just wondering what some of the clubs have done to expand exposure for their website. That's my question.
Okay. Panel, who'd like to address that?
PID Jerome, if I may. So it's important to build your network within your community. So that's why social media sites like Facebook and Twitter are so good for helping to build that, because you can actually add the people who live in your community and make them a part of your Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, if you use it, network, to then use that to help promote your page. It's great to have a website because it allows people to come to you and you can control all the content to that. In the world of the internet, it's very hard to direct them directly to that website. So you need that extra link, the way to be able to share that information with people. It's why I am always on Facebook, using Facebook Live to let all the people who are sort of on the feed know what's going on. Many of them are Lions, but also many of them are members of my community that I've just added over the years of living in that community. So I would strongly suggest, if you're looking to direct traffic to your page, to begin to build up your presence personally on a social media page with the people in your community. And it could start as easily as looking up your graduating high school class. Facebook will allow you to look through the people who went to college in the same years as you and start to build that out so you actually have a network that you can share your Facebook page with.
Thank you. I hope that helps with the question. And Lion Daniel, thank you for your perspective there. It's so enlightening, and we appreciate that. And now going back to Oak Brook, other questions or comments?
Yes, we actually have a couple of questions in regards for Lions Stew. For those in the United States and Canada, how can they duplicate your pill in the bottle campaign? Like, what would Lions need to do?
Okay, so it is a campaign that is a bottle that lives in your fridge, and it has all your personal and medical information inside it. If anyone wants to contact MDHQ, which is the Multiple District Headquarters in the United Kingdom, and talk to a lady called Bridget Green, she'll be the best person to help you, give you some advice on how we run it in the United Kingdom.
Perfect, thank you.
This is PCC Jody. I would just add, we might be able to post that on the Global Alliance Forum page as well on Facebook. So it's an easy location for people to find it.
I will post the video of the lion throwing the bottle and the link this evening. Thank you, Jody.
Perfect.
Lions too. There's a question. How did you earn the title of Sergeant at Arms?
I'm not sure I earned the title. I think it was given to me by my district governor. It's a role we have within our cabinet in MD 105 and in the districts of the United Kingdom. My job is to keep cabinet in order, to keep our convention in order, and to keep our awesome forum in order. So basically my job is to herd cats, if I'm completely honest.
We do have one question from Lion Sharon Ebert. I apologize if I said your last name wrong. With so many meeting platforms, what platforms do you prefer for some of our different meetings, like club meetings, board meetings, committee meetings, informal meetings? I guess this question is for the whole panel.
Well, let's just go down the list because everyone has their own favorite, I suspect. Lion Jody, which is your favorite?
I actually I have a personal favorite, but I actually believe it should be whatever is the easiest for the participants and the organizer to use. There's so many different platforms out there that meet different needs, and it really is about the end users.
Okay, and you use Zoom though for your cocktail parties, right?
For my personal preference for our cocktail party, and I should say our, because it's mine and Lion Dale's party, is to use Zoom. And it's very simple to use and very easy to learn. For me, it's been more simpler to use and easier to learn than some of the other more formal business level platforms when it comes to hosting a social event. And it's got a free timeline right now, so I'll hang up now.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Lion Charles, I know, has done extensive research in this area. What is your personal favorite?
I think while I'd echo what Jody was saying, I would also say that while Zoom is an excellent standalone patch to fix a lot of our current teleconference type stuff, I'd really recommend that people, based off the survey that we had, most of the folks that were talking to us were very enamored with doing a systems approach around using Google as a total platform and using Google Meet as the platform. It'll take up to 100 people at once for free, and most of your MD and district level work can be done on it as well.
Awesome. Lion Daniel, do you have a preference?
I would just echo what PDG Charles said. Zoom is what I use for all of the meetings, but that is because I have found it to be the easiest for non-technical users to understand. Ultimately speaking, I would like to see a move towards using an integrated system through Google, because then you have your Drive and all of these other sort of second and third level applications that could be brought into the meeting. It's just there's a little bit more of a learning curve when it comes to that.
I completely agree with Daniel.
As a non-technical user who didn't know anything about this 3 weeks ago, I purchased the basic Zoom, and I'm now an expert. And if I can become an expert in 3 weeks, anyone can become an expert. But I wholeheartedly agree with Charles' point of view that we as Lions need to seek standardized solutions to technical problems so we're not all reinventing the wheel in our own clubs.
That's pretty good for someone that's 50. Lion Stu, do you have a preference on a platform?
I suppose I do, but I'm kind of got to go back to what Jody said to begin with. It's your club, your way. It's what works best for you and your members. I know that from my cabinet point of view, Zoom's worked really well, but actually from my club's point of view, Google's a better point of view for them. So it depends on the situation. It depends on what works best for your team, and that's what we have to do in Lions. We have to do what's best for our team, not just for us.
you know, and I personally, I like Zoom because our club has used it and I've used it, and I had never used Zoom before we got into this crisis. So in the last 4 or 5 weeks, I've been using that. But I really like this GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar format too. But that's because I've become familiar with it, and it allows for us to, in this particular case, have up to 1,000 people to log in and to listen and engage with us. And so depending on the needs of your particular group and what you want to accomplish, there's a number of formats that are out there and platforms that's out there. And as you can see, this group has a variety of opinions. And to be quite honest, none of us are right, but we all have our own opinion and we're proud to share it. Back to Oakbrook now.
PhD Jerome, we have Lion Lejeune that is on here, and she is going to be unmiked. Lion Lejeune.
Yes, I'm PDG Lejeune from South Carolina, and I had a question. If you have a very small club, because I've been helping the Simpsonville Centennial Club, we have like 5 members, and we could possibly meet and still maintain social distancing. Are you hearing that some of those clubs might still be meeting in a setting face-to-face?
If as the UK has been on lockdown the longest, if I answer first, possibly, our advice from our multiple district is that we shouldn't be meeting at the moment because it's not essential travel to go out to be at a Lions meeting. But we are slightly further ahead in the lockdown process than the USA are.
Because I know
Lejeune, it's Jody. I would suggest any club that's not meeting right now should really be testing out this online meeting opportunity. Number one, to keep in contact, as we've talked about, to make sure that your members are still engaged in being Lions. But also, there's needs out there that our clubs, no matter how small or how large, can be meeting right now. And some of it might just be making wellness calls to other people and friends and family or other club members. There's plenty that our clubs can be doing if we can learn to meet online, to have the conversation to keep the service going.
Lion Lejeune, I've also heard of a club who rode their horses up to pasture and stayed their social distancing and had their meeting outdoor, and another group who met in the parking lot and all sat on the tailgates of their pickup trucks. But of course, I don't know if South Carolina is rural enough to accomplish either one of those meeting methods. And so we have found that a lot of people are doing a lot of things because we love to meet, but more importantly, we love to serve. I hope that answers your question, Lion Lejeune. Look forward to seeing you in South Carolina soon. Richard, what other questions or comments do we have?
Let's see. We have a couple. Christy, Karina, do you guys have any?
I had a question here from a Valentino Arantz. Do you have any ideas? He wants the panel to share any ideas for virtual games.
Virtual games, Lion Daniel, that is all up your alley, isn't it?
So yes, Kahoot is a great way to do trivia, and you can get a free Kahoot account. It's K-A-H-O-O-T. That will allow you to program up to 20 questions of trivia to be able to do it that way. But there is also other things that exist. So there is the ability to do virtual bingo. And if you're interested in that, go to Lions Virtual Universe and look. There is a virtual bingo game that is now being played on every Sunday. We are looking at the possibility for virtual poker games as well. But if you are looking also for something more interactive, there are online games that you can go. I use something called the Jackbox Party Pack. with our Leos, and it's a online game where 8 to 10 players can play trivia and interactive race games, and it's very simple. You can play it from your phone and with a shared screen. So there are a couple of different options for online entertainment if you're looking for that.
Ryan, Christy, do you have anyone else that with a question or any of the hands that are raised that we might engage with?
PID Jerome, not really, but just before you wind down, I think it's really great. People have had a couple of great ideas in here. Some people have run a quick quiz and virtual race night. They've had virtual magic show fundraisers. So there's just a couple of additional ideas for people to run with, but we'll toss it back to you.
Thank you so very much. And if there are questions that are still out there, our wonderful staff at Oak Brook will continue to try to answer those. We are out of time, and I appreciate you bringing that to my attention, Christy. I want to stop and thank our staff who are all sheltered at home. They're not in the headquarters, but they have logged in to support this production and the sharing of this information. Thank you so very much to our wonderful staff. And also then to our panelists today who have come forth and brought forth ideas about how that we can engage our members, how that we can excite them, how that we can embrace them, how that we can continue to move our association forward, because we're pivoting from the poor pitiful me, what am I going to do, to the victory that we're all going to have as soon as the governors allow us to move about more and we can find new ways to serve in this new normal as we continue to look for vaccines, as we continue to social distance, and as we continue to be lions and live our motto, we serve. Thank you, Lion Jody, Lion Charles, Lion Daniel, Lion Richard, and Lion Stu from across the pond. Thank you so very much. And most importantly, we could not do these webinars without you, the attendees, sharing your comments and your thoughts with us. And next Monday, we will have the second episode of Membership Mondays in May, and we will talk about using 21st century innovations to attract Leos and Lions. And this will be brought to us by some Lions in the Connecticut, New England area, and I look forward to having an opportunity to work with them as they share some of these ideas and concepts. Thank you so very much. Everyone is to be applauded and everyone has done a perfect job. I appreciate it. We'll see you next Monday. And until then, just keep serving, keep exciting, keep embracing. Our retention is going to be 110%. Have a good day.